Land Rover, just around the back. There it is, a 2005 Land Rover Freelander TD5. No, TD4. It's the newest mustard and boaty acquisition, and there are plenty of good things, and there are a few not so good things. Let's have a look. Open the door. Oh, that's peeling off a bit. That one's a jolly good clean. But look, we have leather, perforated leather seats, because this is the posh model, except it's a diesel rather than a petrol. But really, who in their right mind would opt for a petrol version of one of these? I mean, the diesels are dreadful enough on fuel. What about the petrol? Oh gosh, no. A quick glance around then, we see that, we see dog hairs, we see some bodgery going on here, we see an awful lot of stuff left in the footwell. And we hear a very lumpy engine. Oh, doesn't smell too good either. Oh, hey! Well, that didn't sound good at all. Oh dear, it sounds a bit like there's a broken spring on the go on that side, on the passenger side. Let's have a quick look, shall we? Can't see anything wrong there. I can already detect a love-hate relationship with this car, because I can't see what caused that big thunky clonky thing just then, but it wasn't very nice. And you hear a kind of clonky sound as you turn the wheel as well. Anyway, let's just forget that and start looking at what this car has and hasn't. First of all, it has the BMW M47 engine with 170,000 miles. But it drives okay, besides that clonk, and besides the fact that it's hideously slow. Underneath the bonnet we find this rather curious instruction of not putting petrol or diesel down there, because obviously there's a filler cap over there. I don't know why they needed to tell you that. It has these light guards, which I'm not a fan of, because I just don't like the look of them, and it also means it's going to be difficult to polish those headlamps up. It has some aftermarket fog lamps, some LED fog lamps, which I'm not a fan of, and I can't even be bothered to explain why. I just don't like them. On the roof we have evidence of neglect. Either that or the previous owner wasn't tall enough to wash it properly. I have a further reminder of what car we're looking at. And then on the wing, the HSE thing. It's just letters, isn't it? But it tells you that this is the top spec Freelander. We also have this One Life Live It sticker thing on there with some mountains, suggesting that unless you are driving your car up a mountain, then you're clearly not living your best life. It's always annoyed me, that one, always annoyed me. Just the suggestion that everybody else is living a sad existence, whilst those that go green laning are living a proper life. Yeah. So yeah, I don't like that sticker. Another Grati Land Rover badge, at least it's a proper badge there. This one is kind of put on afterwards to tell you that you can drive it. You can drive it in the snow, you can drive it down rutted bits, you can drive it by a cactus, and you can drive it up over a wardrobe, I guess. And then we have this kind of Union Jack thingy on there that looks like it's just been done with insulation tape and a craft knife. I don't like that either. NC500 may or may not be true. And then, of course, we have even more light guards, which are made of plastic. I mean, they would. You'd imagine that would actually serve some purpose, but this one won't. doing a crack there, it's just going to crack the lens anyway because it's screwed into the lens. So what is the point of that? Northern monkey over there somewhere. And then another reminder that unless you're doing off-roading, you're not living your life. And in case you can't read that one, the same thing again but in bigger writing. Quite good wheels though, 18-inch 235. Does make the thing look kind of purposeful, doesn't it? Purposeful with the bonnet open, of course, the correct way to have the bonnet on a Land Rover. Still, besides these little bits, quite a good looking old beast. See, it has a tow bar as well. Although with it running the way it does, would it be a good idea to use it for towing? That's the question. This colour interior really does need cleaning though, because it's so grotty, and this is a nice colour. This is the colour of luxury. It's the colour of clean hands and shiny shoes, not wellies and grotty work onesies. Yeah, I quite like it in the back of here though. Anyway, I'm going to just give it a bit of a clean up in here. Now, hopefully it won't be too bad. Land Rover did keep a proper carpet, which gives me a fighting chance of it becoming clean. So, removal of the bits of wire and empty cans and dog hair and stuff, and question what that's about. What is that now? I don't like the look of that. I reckon it's got something to do with the tow bar though. No, I reckon it's LED spot lamps. And another one just there. Probably illegal to use on the road actually. I am also informed that the window here needs reseating on the runner. And that's a phrase I hear quite a lot. But what it actually means is it's broken. I'm getting bored of doing this already. Now this isn't even the cheapo stuff like they have in a Volkswagen or a Vauxhall. But of course dog hair is particularly stubborn. However, that's about 14 minutes and I've done about half of it so far. That's why I feel a bit bored. But the thing is, I've got to do the rest of it as well yet. And I like dogs. Now imagine doing this job if you didn't like dogs. Oh, imagine buying a car like this and you were allergic to dog hair and you didn't realise, well, you would know that, but I mean you didn't know there was dog hair in it. That's the trouble, because to do this properly, what you really should do is remove all of the plastic trim, because every time it flexes you'll find a bit more hair just underneath there, and I really haven't got time for doing that as well. But the car cleaning bit's the bit I quite like doing, and that's why I'm skipping it, because I don't expect anybody else to find it that fascinating. And it isn't, is it? Watching a man vacuum a car. How exciting could you get? It has occurred to me actually, I've seen this car knocking about. These stickers on the side do make it ever so slightly more distinctive, I suppose. Distinctive in a good way? No, not really. Now I'm going to do what I see fit and remove these stickers anyway, but it won't stop me from asking whether you'd keep them. Anyway, do we think it's time that we gave this car a name? We don't want another nameless car, do we? I did think about calling this car Brian because it looks like a Brian, but it's right next to a Brian there, so that would obviously kind of be a bit wrong, wouldn't it? But there will come a point where the same name gets used more than once. I mean, recently I introduced ladies' names to the cars of the yard, but this is a man, isn't it? You know, it's a big, well actually not that big, a portly, scruffy man. And maybe that's why I thought of Brian. Brian seems to be the name of the kind of man that he likes his beer and he's quite tidily dressed, but often he's got gravy spilt down his top. Yeah, so Brian it would be if it wasn't Brian May. What about James May? Yeah, James. He's called James. This car is called James. May I introduce you to a car called James? Incidentally, if you're called Brian and you don't have gravy spilt down your shirt, do let me know. There's the first vacuuming session over with in the boot. If we look closely, we'll see a dog hair and another one, and then another human hair. There's a ginger hair there. There's a few bits knocking about, yeah. But how far do I go today? Because I just want to give the inside of the car a general clean up. And it's already 1:30. And it is a Saturday, which means I'm not supposed to be here all day because I have family things to be doing, not cleaning up dog hair. I am also fantastically hungry now as well. And no fear, because right in front of me, steaming away, is lentil curry that I made last night. Lovely! It's also not warmed up enough. There we go. That's a bit more like it, isn't it? Right, that's more like it. It's a funny old thing with food, really. You want it hot, but piping hot. You cook it so it's so hot that you can't eat it and then have to wait for it to cool down. Not much of a conclusion, but weekends are shorter. Project Nigel headquarters, desperately short in fact. And to think, in the time I had down here today, wasn't even enough to vacuum the car out properly. That's despicable. It just shows how much there is to do to get it sorted in the first place. But that's another one with very, very little fuel in it. So I'm going to extract the rest of the fuel out of Eric and give it to James to see whether that cheers him up a little bit. It's like milking a cow, a diesel cow. Ah, now that's interesting. It started on the first flick this time, which means Smoky James here must have been just about ready to properly give up on diesel anyway. Gosh, I don't know how to take my chances with these things. So, whilst your back was turned, I managed to sort out one of the problems with the Freelander, and that is its starting issue. Okay, watch this. Now it's still running lumpy because obviously there's a bit of an injector issue somewhere, and it is smoky, at least until it gets warmed up. When Tom followed me the other day in this, he could barely keep up, but he said that once I got going, the smoke had gone. So that's kind of a good sign. It's just on startup. Startup from cold, it's very smoky. Anyway, I got around the problem with it not starting by simply adding some diesel into the tank. So it seems that the previous owner was playing a rather dangerous game with the fuel gauge. They're known for not being particularly reliable, and although it said just under quarter of a tank, it was probably more like that much off of being nothing and completely running out. And now it's okay. And so I shall continue the job from yesterday of vacuuming it out and making it look a bit more presentable instead of just a mass of dog hair everywhere. So just in case your attention span isn't good enough to remember, I got as far as this yesterday, and we can still see there are a few doggy hairs about, as well as some grot that needs cleaning, etc. Whereas the front, I haven't actually started yet, so we have fag ash, dog hairs, stones. Looks like Jack Russell hair to me. Anyway, it is basically everywhere, but it won't be soon because I'm about to get rid of it. Right, well that is a very quick spruce up on the inside. It needs a lot more. It wants a proper valeting really, but at least it's not completely covered in dog hairs now. So it's not a horrible place to sit. Just going to give it a wash, okay, a quick wash over, because it is grotty and it does deserve it, and it will look a bit better for it. Lower half doused in traffic film remover, and of course the roof as well. You may know of course that traffic film remover isn't particularly good for the paint, but then neither is that green stuff, and neither is dirt being left on it. So this is the first wash. There will be another video, just as this car goes up for sale when I get it looking nice. Much more presentable. Looks almost good now. I've got to go. please join me in the next episode of James, where I clean him up a bit further and make him look ready for sale. And then maybe even put him up for sale as is. So that's it. James could go up for sale now, realistically, if anybody actually wants it. That's pre-jobs needing doing, so it's smoky. It doesn't always like to start very well, and there's a big clunk from the front, and the window regulator still currently needs sorting out. I reckon, how much should we charge for it? Bolty, how much do we charge for this car?